All right. And we're alive with no countdown. Hey, and we are live. Welcome to the Killer Be Killed podcast. I'm Damian with my good buddy Josh, and you're not watching the most unlistened to podcast on the interwebs. Welcome to the Christmas show. So crazy, bizarre week. A couple things we're going to talk about. Obviously, first on the foremost, we'll talk about just Rob Reiner passing. We'll talk about Brown University shooting. We'll talk about what happened in Bondi Beach. And man. So Josh, man, what's going on, brother? That's it.
Not a whole lot. Yeah, not a whole lot. Just working and doing the thing, watching all the craziness go on around the world.
Yeah. So
might be fighting COVID. So we'll see.
Oh, good luck. Congratulations. You got a cold.
Yeah. Thanks.
I mean,
yeah. I've been feeling off the last few days, and then like one of my neighbors was like, "Oh yeah, I got COVID," and I'm like, And my daughter this morning was like, or last night was like, "Oh, this thing is starting to taste weird," and I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Like, I'm not gonna, now what it is, but again, it was like a nasty cold. Like, I got it. I'm the only one in my house that got it, by the way. No one got vaccinated. My daughter got one shot. And then she didn't get the second shot. I mean, she was out in California. She's 18. I'm like, I gave her my 2 cents. We were willing to do whatever so she didn't have to take it, but she took it. Again, she's very health conscious. She didn't feel great after it. I mean, it's a manufactured disease, so it's like typically very nasty, so it's not to be, especially in the beginning, taken lightly, but,
yeah, I mean, I've had it like 3 times, so, it's whatever.
Right. So, yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah. So moving on. But yeah, so the Rob Reiner thing, I don't know if anybody has been under a rock and hasn't heard about this, but it looks like, hold on, let me just pull this up.
That's me.
Right. Right. Here we go. So and I'll just share so we have something to look at that's just not just us. Our screen. Okay, here you go. Yeah, and this looks like crap, but it's Rob Reiner's son, Nick. I don't know how to get rid of this advertisement, but apparently there was an argument on I guess it was a night before the party, and that was at Conan O'Brien's house, and then Rob Reiner and his son have had a history of trouble. His son is, has been, is an addict, and again, my heart goes out to these people. Again, politics aside, I wasn't a fan of, what President Trump had put out on Truth Social. Yeah, granted, Rob Reiner was his, one of his biggest adversaries, most vocal people about it. I get it. You don't like the guy, no problem, but again, he, went into, he expressed his condolences and then went into it all being about him, about Reiner having Trump derangement syndrome and all that. Yeah, that is most likely true. Reiner was very vocal about the Russian collusion stuff, which was later proved to be false. So I just don't think, when somebody's dead, you don't take that opportunity to just kind of kick shit on them. I mean, it was a brutal death. he was stabbed. Both he and his wife were stabbed by their son, allegedly. I mean, in their house. I mean, they're apparently, the rumors going around is that the daughter came over and found them there, and the mom was still alive. And when I tell you, he like stabbed them, and apparently he slit their throats as well. So, yeah, the mom had told the daughter when the paramedics came that the son had did it, and that's why they kind of picked him up. They scooped him up so quickly. So, it's addiction, it's tragedy. Like I can't, again, no matter how, it goes to show you, like, no matter how wealthy you are, I mean, your family life, is the most important thing that will give you the biggest source of pride and the biggest source of grief that you can imagine. So, yeah, I just don't yeah, I don't know. So it sucks. And I don't feel, being in a community, people that have gone through levels of addiction, especially, with the opioid crisis. Had people here that have had, these are well-to-do homes. Their kids get addicted to opium, get addicted to opiates, and then they transition into heroin. And then it was back in the 2010s. It was like 3 or 4 kids that just OD'd. They would go to rehab and they'd come out and they'd get a hot shot, and that's it. So, thank you, Big Pharma, for creating all of this. Much appreciated. And
yeah, I think I mentioned this before, but one of the high schools that was near where I was at when I was in high school. It was a bunch of like very affluent people, and one of the status things that the kids would do was passing out free drugs. And so it was like the more drugs you could give to people for free, the more affluent you were. And my mom had a friend whose kids went there and they got hooked on drugs just because you just walk down the hallway with your hand out and people would put drugs in it.
Wow.
So
yeah. Again, they're getting access to pills, whether their parents have prescriptions. I mean, you go on like Craigslist and score. It's not difficult to do that. I mean, I know one of buddy of mine was a detective, and these girls were from a nice town over. They would literally pawn their iPhones in the morning, take whatever they had, get their morning fix. Then they'd set up shop in one of the motels on Craigslist, work all day, get another, get another fix, go back, get their iPhones again, and that's the end of their day. And these girls were like torn up at like 19 years old. I mean, it was like, it's only like a year or two time where that you go from this, normal operating person into this, addicted animal. And it's like the way it was best described to me a very long time ago. It's like, imagine your mom's like most prized possession, right? That special ring, that special whatever it is. And the first opportunity you get, the first 2 seconds, you'll take it and sell it for whatever you can get it for and not even give a shit. So these people are, not acting as a rational human being. And it is in a state of mind that I have no idea, what that looks like. We are willing to do anything with or to anybody and yourself in order to feed this, hunger, this hole. So here you have a person of tremendous means, resources, like that are that you can't even imagine. I mean, there's no dollar that they probably didn't spend to help their child, survive this thing. And they couldn't do it. I mean, I think people are definitely wired differently when it comes to this sort of thing. I mean, I generally have an addictive personality, but like when it comes to like, so far the only thing I can do is like tobacco and alcohol. I used to chew tobacco a lot. from the time I was like literally 12 to the time I was like, how old was my son? 20 to the time I was like 36 to when my son was born. Because I stopped because I'm like, look, I don't want to have like half a face when my kid is, 20. So I'm like, I'm done with this. So I stopped. I don't know what coke would do to me. I don't know what heroin would do to me. I don't know, what that would happen. I mean, coke is probably, take out the fentanyl thing. Coke is probably the scariest thing to me because of my personality, to get that like, and then like infusion dopamine. I don't know what I would do, dude. So I'm like, I better just leave it alone. And
yeah, no bath salts for you.
right. Yeah. So, I don't know. I know not to mess with it, and who knows, right? But then some people can just do it and walk it off, and they're like, yeah, I'm not. Like guys would, I know people, the stories of people that would go to Vietnam and they'd be doing heroin and weed and everything. Then they come back, and once they're back in the world, they're just like, okay, I don't need it. They move on. But then there's others that can't. So,
Yeah.
there's I'm probably oversimplifying this, but it's yeah, it's tragic, but this is, the world we live in. And, it's like, but again, it's, everybody accepts this, and no one's like, and there are people, but you would think, look, as we're going to get into the active shooter events that happened over the last couple of days, and like people are going to be outraged over that. People are going to be good. But then, when it comes to, okay, Rob Reiner just got slaughtered by his own son. It's like, why aren't we outraged because of the events that happened to create that? What are the circumstances for that? Right.
Yeah.
So no, we're pissed off because, someone's got a gun and there was no one else with a gun to stop the person with a gun. Right. Yeah. We're going to outlaw body armor because, bad guys could wear body armor. Let's not think about the people who are trying to not get killed by gunfire. So, oh yeah, no, we don't think of them. The police will come. Well, funny we mentioned that. So Brown University, do you know what happened over the weekend?
I heard a very short blip. Definitely heard way more about the Bondi incident than I did about this.
Okay. So Brown University, there was a study group. It's during exams. All the schools are either done or they're taking exams now. So their study group, subject gained access into a hall, which is basically a building with classrooms, and found his way to a particular classroom that was supposed to be for religious studies. We don't know what the motive was. He came in, fired 40 rounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, presumably from a handgun or described as a big gun. No one knows. What we do know is that 2 people were killed. One girl was killed who was the head of the Republican head of the Republican group on campus, and then another kid, another young kid. So let's say 2 people. What we know, 2 people were killed. 9 others were wounded in a shooting at an engineering physics building and Brown's campus. Officials emphasize the investigation is moving quickly, with evidence being collected by multiple agencies, but are not yet confirming details that could compromise the case. The man earlier detained as a person of interest will be released tonight because the evidence no longer supports him keeping him detained. So yeah, so they arrested a guy who immediately. So the FBI is not involved. They didn't ask the FBI to get involved. So I know people are kind of, shitting on the FBI, but it's a local matter. So unless they call in the feds, they don't, there's nothing that's going to be, nothing's going to be happening. So now the couple things that are shocking from this is that one is that it took 17 minutes for the alarm to be sounded. right? So normally you go into schools, you go into campus, university or campuses, there's panic buttons. There's supposed to be panic buttons in like every room, right? There's not. One. Two, the person gained access into the building. So you have you're looking at $70,000+ per year tuition. You're looking at an $8 billion endowment. So schools are supposed to be locked down. You're not supposed to get into any school building. You're not supposed to be. Your key card's supposed to let you in and let you out. Now, there's always an opportunity. What happens in a lot of cases is like somebody's coming in, someone may let them in. It's very easy to tell a kid, hey man, sorry, I forgot my key card, right? That happens all the time. Someone would be like, hey, could you let me in? I'm stuck. Very easy to do.
Yeah, or they just wait by the door, you open the door and they step in the door, right? Like it's
right.
What kid in a rush to class or whatever is going to be like, oh, do you have your key card?
Yeah, no one, no. Unless you're like a complete asshole, or someone who's like, unless you look suspicious, right?
Yeah.
Then you may be like, okay, that guy looks a little off. But again, people are going to report that because it's not, PC to, suspect somebody. Right. So this guy's supposed to be wearing like a camouflage mask, a light-skinned person, so they don't know what ethnicity. He supposedly went into this particular classroom, yelled something. They haven't released what he yelled yet. I'm not necessarily, people are like, what did he yell? I'm like, and there was something that was special on the weapon. I don't know what that could possibly be, but they're not releasing those details. Personally, I don't care. I don't need to know them, right? If there's an ongoing investigation, let them do their thing, right? What's odd is that no cameras in the building, no cameras around
not even the hallways.
No, they don't have any footage of this kid, or
no cameras around the buildings.
The only footage they released was traffic camera and ring camera footage of a very grainy figure. Kind of like not fat, but not skinny. He didn't look like he was, the picture
of CCTs on the corner of buildings was like, at least from the 80s onward.
Right. I'm trying to see if there's a picture. Okay. So wait, these are these knuckleheads, right? So this mayor is a piece of work and he is freaking useless. Here, let's
releasing the person of interest who had been detained earlier today, and the Attorney General can speak a little bit about the rationale for that, but we want to inform the community that individual will shortly be released from Providence Police. We know that this is likely to cause fresh anxiety for our community. And we want to reiterate what we said earlier, which remains true, which is ever since the initial call, now a day and a half ago, we have not received any credible or specific threats to the Providence community.
But the killer is still at large. So, right.
And so the status of safety in our community remains unchanged.
Yeah. There's a shooter out there.
And we believe that you remain safe in our community, though we will continue to have an enhanced police presence throughout the city and on the Brown campus.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they haven't been able to protect the people who should be in a school building protected. Right.
We are once again encouraging anyone who thinks that they might have relevant information to assist with our ongoing investigation to please provide it. These are the same resources that were asked earlier, but to share them once again. You can upload video or photos to the special FBI website created for this incident, which is fbi.gov/Brown University shooting. That's fbi.gov/Brown University shooting.
So now I am guessing they are working now with the FBI, or the FBI is involved on some level, right?
I would assume so with that, yeah.
Or call the Providence Police non-emergency number of 401-272-3121. Our investigation into this horrific act remains ongoing. It has been ongoing. And I know there's been some frustration from members of the community and others about the language that we've been using about the person of interest and such, and that speaks to directly the fact that this investigation was and continues ongoing, and we will continue to endeavor to not confirm any information that is not yet confirmable. And that is how we can best be transparent with all the members of our community to share the best information that we have.
So specific.
Oh. So, all right. Yeah. So yeah.
I will say that I do appreciate him saying we're not going to just make up details, right?
I'm
Like,
cool with that. Yes.
you know, like so many people are so quick to be like, this person was this XYZ, blah, 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 blah. Let's go find them versus, hey, we don't know.
Right. You know, and I think, again, they did the, it's like some Charlie Kirk shit. As soon as they get the first guy, they start releasing details that he was a vet, white male. They release his name. They said he traveled from Wisconsin there. And then they'll say, no, this isn't our guy. Right. So they did that.
Yeah.
Ghost Woo. Yeah. The pencil neck. Yeah, dude. This guy, I want to find the link of him like questioning reporters. Like when they talk to, I'm gonna say Brown. Hold on, people. University reporter. See videos. Hold the pressure thing. Yeah, I can't. I'm not searching for it now. So that mayor was talking to people, and people are asking, what's been done, what's going on, and all they kept talking about is like, he's like, we're tired, and I'm like, yeah, no shit, but tell that to the parents whose kids are in the hospital and the kids are dead, right? You're tired, that should not, it's not. Who cares, right? Who freaking cares? And then they ask the the president of the university, who reportedly she's been there for about 10, 15 years, 13 years, who reportedly makes $3 million a year. They ask her what was going on in the class, why were the students there? She's like, I don't know. 6 hours after the incident. She's like, I don't know. I don't know. She didn't know what class was there. She didn't know, why they were there. None of that.
That should be like really easy, like quick information. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like when something happens, all right, I've got this horrific thing. It's like what, who, where, when, why, right? It's like, okay, are the police here? Okay, is it locked down? Do they have them? Do they know what is so who got killed? Where were they? Right? What were they?
What classroom was it? What was going on? Give us the details here.
What was, providing like some type of motivation? She's like, I don't know. And I get that you don't want to give away, it's an ongoing investigation. So that she's probably getting briefed like, well, listen, we can't really say this. This is what we're doing. So, somebody who hasn't talked to the press in like, we've had like, shit would go on with the fire department, especially, when there's an incident and people are coming up and asking questions, I'm always just like, talk to the chief, right? Like, I don't answer questions. I don't, because
when you're the president, like there's nobody else to pass it on.
You're the chief, dude. Yeah. You are the one that has to be like, we're cooperating with law enforcement. There's a study group there. We don't know, how do they get in the building? We don't know this, are there cameras there? I don't know. Well, the answer should now you're just exposing the extreme low level of security that
how soft the target is.
Yeah. Look, when I first went to school, so if people look up the Cleary case, freshman there that was a year before me, Jeannie Cleary was raped and brutally murdered in her campus, on campus, by another student who went into, before it was like you got in with a key and that was it. And people would like prop the doors open so, the pizza guy could get in, or if you're loading up your, car, you do that. It's like after that, everything was a key card. If the doors propped open, there was an alarm. So, you couldn't get away with the typical, ease of life shenanigans, let's call it, that are, that you normally do. So that was fucking a million years ago. Now, forget it. I mean, you should be, with the way everything is. I mean, my son's school, he's like, he can't get in, couldn't get in, only student could get in. There's somebody at the desk, there's people there. Now, during finals, when classes are out, as we all know, you got skeleton crew, right? You've got professors are kind of in there. Everyone's studying. So the student that was normally working at the desk, probably not working there. But at least you should have freaking cameras everywhere, at least on the externals of every building.
Look, right? Everybody's got cameras nowadays. Like, how do you not have cameras? That's insane.
Who's campus security there? Why isn't that dude's head on a pike? Right? Or show me the email where you're like, okay, this building sucks. This building's good. I mean, you're running, evaluations of,
should be,
right. Ghost is right. Yeah. How many cameras are there? Right. It's like you should be running, you're constantly running, I don't know, these terms like red team or whatever shit, but you're running shit. You're testing stuff, right? You're the security guy. Should be. I get it. It gets like you're creating some extra work, but this should be something that is standard, right? That, you have.
Well, and if they're like, we didn't have the budget for it, that's what, that's going to come hard on that president who's like, well, you were making $3 million a year, and over the last 15 years, you never thought that maybe you should take, $100,000 each year and like upgrade your security.
Dude,
like,
they got an $8 billion endowment. It's Brown University. It is not
like where
it is not like
if I was a member of the university board, like a parent or a student or whoever, I'd be like, hey, board of trustees, where's all this security money been going? Because they'd be getting money strictly for security.
Right. And they're literally, you're looking at especially certain community groups, that are, we have an acquaintance. I don't know them at all. It's through, my wife grew up with a child whose parents basically put a wing on one of the buildings, at Brown and Yale. And they are very heavily involved with Israel. Let's put it that way. So, you have all these, you have these universities that have all these, have all these, benefactors and donors and people doing this stuff. And, the one thing you promise to see, I'm always asking, and this, when my kids are going to school, what does security look like? What does this look like? What do you do in the event of an active shooter?
How safe are they going to be? Yeah,
I'm asking these questions because it freaking happens. It's happening. And now it's like, again, we're getting into this whole, wait. Yeah, right. Yeah, right, Brett. You're absolutely right. Where did the money go? What do your security protocols look like? If I am on the board of directors of Brown University, if I'm a trustee of Brown University, if I'm a parent and I'm paying ungodly amounts of tuition to, Brown, and I want to demand what the security protocols, what happened? Why isn't that building secure? What are you doing? Why are my children at risk? Why did you not sound an alarm for almost 20 minutes? How is that even possible? 40 rounds, one guy, 40 rounds. Holy crap.
Yeah.
there's got to be a larger investigation as to how this was allowed to happen. Because again, people look, and I use this analogy a lot. The left, and again, I'm like more centrist right, but hear me out. The left shouldn't be in charge, because when they're completely in charge, things like this happen. They think we pass a law to outlaw guns, problem solved, right? You can't carry, you can't whatever. It's a gun-free campus. You can't do, what? That's it, right? They think it's solved. But the reality is, we're always thinking, well, how can somebody come in here? People are violent. We have a reality of, the world we live in and people that do evil shit, and evil exists. So, I liken it to like the left is, the club promoter, and the right is the bouncer at the door, right? So you need the bouncer at the door to make sure that, okay, the club's not over capacity. You got the right kind of people, you got the people in here who belong here. You don't have any troublemakers. But the club promoter just wants to pack the house and get as many people in the club as possible, and everybody's going to have a good time. It's going to be great. But the bouncer doesn't know that. The problem is, if you just leave the bouncer at the door, there's going to be nobody in the goddamn club. So he's like, he's not letting anybody in, because everybody who comes in is going to be an asshole. He's going to let in like 5 people. So you need the left to keep the right from being out of control, right? I mean, you need these two things.
Yeah, they balance each other. Yeah, they balance each other. That's how you realistically, when both sides are communicating together, that you end up in the middle.
Right.
And then things are normal.
Yeah. Right. I mean, we do these things. I mean, look, we've got backpacks and, and armor and, getting into a variety of places. But it's like, a lot of people are just like, a lot of people's like, well, no, we don't have the budget for that. Yeah. Until you need it. And then it's too late. It's like, what else are you doing? I mean, the fact that not every school is like a mini airport is insane to me. It's insane to me. Every campus should have a level of security. Yeah. People don't want to be reminded why the guy with the gun is standing at the door, because it reminds them of why he's there, and that there is awful, awful crap out there. But he's what's making your ability to go and learn. People are like, I don't want to see it. It bothers me. It's offensive. Hey, I get it. But without that, it's only a matter of time till a shark swims into your town. And that happens, and to think that these guys are acting alone, or, it's not, they're just getting radicalized. I'm like, look, I said this before and I'll say it again. There's 2 things that happen as a result of this, and they're never in the right direction. It's always like hate speech and guns, right? So, and that's the First and the Second Amendment. And this is an assault on the First and the Second Amendment, and is the last thing that separates us from literally every country in the damn world, literally. And yeah, Brett, you're right. Yeah, sorry, but become like an airport. 1,000%. Hey, look, I know guys that work in inner city schools forever. They had metal detectors at the door. It was, and this is in the 80s, dude. This is not, nothing. Oh, to get in here, dude. Here's what you can bring into school. You can't bring in your pocket knife. That's it. You can't. You can, there's certain things that you can bring in, certain things that you can't. Get at school 15 minutes early. We're going to have, 200. This is how you come in. This is how you go out. I mean, they all come in through the front doors anyway. It's only like 500 people, 600 people. And we're talking about the other schools with like thousands of people. Now, how quickly you can put 500 people through security in the morning. Like
just ask any amusement park.
Right. It's literally like 20 minutes, if that. That's, the first time it's going to be a pain in the ass, because everybody's going to be bringing shit that they can't bring in as they learn, just like we started taking our shoes off and all that other bullshit. They're going to take it. They're going to put it on the side. They're going to say, pick it up at the end of the school day, period. Or if it's something you really shouldn't have, they're like, okay, well, we're going to have a conversation. So, it's not that difficult to do. We're doing it already. every time you go into a sporting event, every time you go into a concert, it's there. Do it. Do it. And then let's go someplace else. I mean, in the universities, look, I get it, but the least thing you should freaking do is have cameras and security watching it and have every building locked down, because at least you can tell, well, did anyone let somebody in? Oh, I did. Okay. What time and date was that? Now you've got a date, now you got a starting point, right? Which you can work from. But without any, key card or any entrance to get into the building, you got nothing.
Yeah.
And this is 2025. Are you freaking kidding me?
I'm really hoping that they're just holding the camera footage and they're like, oh, we don't have that footage when they actually do, and we're gonna find out in like a couple of weeks that like they actually have all the
and
footage.
I'm good with that. That's why I'm not like, well, you should demand it, because I don't think we should. It's like an investigation.
No. Although it would make more sense for them if that's the case to say we're reviewing all the footage, we'll release it later. You know what I mean? Or whatever, right? Ongoing investigation. Instead of just like, we don't know, we don't have anything.
Right. Yeah, we're looking. If anybody has any information, it's like, look,
we know that our cameras can't catch everything. If you have stuff, please send it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, it's awful, but this keeps happening. And, I'm shocked that more people aren't dead, and that's where, I just, it's unbelievable, that it's unbelievable that a university like this, such a high profile university with not just, okay, let's just say like, top of the line students, but students who a lot of them have very, they're wealthy people, that are going to this school. So, you've got these assets that need to be protected. And look, I'm not saying like a rich kid's better than poor, but you would think that this school that has, that much money surrounded would be state of the art.
Yeah.
When it comes to campus security.
Yeah. I mean, if cities can like place cameras all over the place to the point where they know when you enter their boundaries and when you exit their boundaries and where you're at, and they can track your vehicle and your facial recognition, all that stuff. But a city on a limited city budget can do that. Then what about a university that's making bazillions of dollars? Like you said, what, $8 billion endowment? Like, come on now. Like, dude, where's their minimum cameras? Not even like facial recognition ones, Right.
So so here's a nugget that I really didn't even realize, that my buddy is a cop up in like Woodstock, New York, and they have drones they use to clear homes now. Like they use drones. It's like there was a couple, shooter, guys, shooter incidents. He goes, we send in a drone first. Drones, dogs, then us. Like, and that's that's a town up in New York State. He goes, all of them do it now. As they should, sheriff's department, by the way.
Yeah, one of the sheriff's departments nearby, one of my buddies, he's in charge of their UAV program.
Yeah. And that's what they do. They got infrared, they got, they got drones, they got, no one's going in a house without we know as much as we possibly can, where this person could be hiding. Right. So,
it'll be interesting to see as more unfolds in this and more information comes out. We might have to come back and retouch on this topic and just see how much points of breakdown there were versus the information that we have right now.
Right. So let's just look at some of the comments. Brett was walking in for the parking lot, and a guy from another high school brought a shotgun looking for a guy at the school in 1980. Oh, damn, dude. Yeah. I think I brought this up on the podcast before. We had a kid one day in school. He just showed up. He was wearing a suit, and he was definitely an odd dude. Then the cops just showed up because he brought a handgun to school. I never saw the gun. I only heard about it. And this was in the 80s. I just remember the PD coming in and just taking him out. And I don't think I ever saw the kid at school again. I can't even remember. But yeah, so yeah, so there's that, and then moving over to Australia, so Bondi Beach. Apparently there was a Hanukkah celebration.
Yep.
And then a father and son of Pakistani descent opened fire on the celebration, killing 15 and wounding. Say how many? Okay, I'm just sorry. I just want to get this number right. Sorry, people.
My wife's been watching that stuff nonstop. I bet she could tell you.
Yeah, right. We should have her on. Okay, there's 15 people killed. Open fire at a Hanukkah event. Hold on, I might as well. All right, let me just share this. I'll share
Brett
this
says
first.
22.
Thank you, Brett. 22. Awesome. So yeah, 22 people. Bolt action rifles. You know, people like they were trained. I go, yeah, they definitely knew what they were doing. You know, again, we're not dealing with SEAL Team 6. These are guys who just shot a lot.
Yeah. They went to the range. Yeah, they went to the range. There was one of the son, his her former coworker. They were interviewing him, and he was talking about how the kid would talk about how you'd go to the range like every weekend.
Yeah. You know, and they are, you know, you've got a country with extremely tight gun laws, right? But still happens. And they'll always say, you know, after there's an active shooter in Australia, but keep in mind, you know, yeah, population of Australia is like 30 million, 27 million, which is like 1/10 of the United States, by the way. So
that's less than a tenth. It's almost a 0.5%.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're 330 million, right? So
no, we're like over 400 now.
Are we?
Damn. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So it's a very small percentage spread out over a while. You know, you've got to think like the people that are spread out in the territories too. You know, there's not they're not all condensed in like one state. So they're spread out. You've got, you know, Sydney, you've got your places along the coast, you've got nothing, and then you've got, you know, Northern Territory where apparently like the real tough SOBs live, because I think that's like pretty rough terrain. And so they're not on top of each other. So one, a lot easier to control. Two, it doesn't matter, right? So we've had people that are trained on the platform that talk about, you know, gangs using not just machetes and bats, but, you know, printed homemade guns, and they still use firearms. You know, you also have to look at things that are like underreported, right? So, you know, there's that, like, you know, you could be like the police chief in DC and just, you know, lie about the crime statistics. It's a whole other thing. But, you know, a lot of this stuff gets underreported, a lot of it. So here you have a country again with, you know, people coming in from another country that clearly, you know, are not assimilating well. And you know, they shot they didn't care who they were shooting. They just wanted to get a body count. And it's a father and son, and the police response was atrocious. This is in a very populated area. I think it took them 12 or 15 minutes to respond. And then 2 officers actually got shot, didn't die, but they could not manage to handle 2 guys with bolt action rifles that managed to get
there was
that many scores.
Yeah, I think there's a police presence there at all times because Bondi Beach is so popular.
Right.
One of the reports that my wife was watching was this lady who was there, and she said she like went and dove behind a pillar and was like hiding behind this pillar, and a cop was also hiding behind the pillar.
Right. Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, you know, and she's just like, what's going on? What are we doing? And the cop's just like, I don't know, but like I'm freaking out, you know, and
Yeah.
here's the cop telling her I'm freaking out, like I don't know what to do. And it's like, you're the one in charge. Go save us, you know? Like,
Yeah. Well, again, yes, and that happens in every department. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and thinking like every cop, dude, there's still guys that run towards gunfire, there's still guys that hide behind shit. You know, it doesn't matter where you are. And you see that, I'm sure, in the military
100%,
as well.
100%.
Right. So, there's the guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of they do a lot of training to train that out of you, but yeah, I mean, it can happen for sure.
Right. Yeah, they do. But they obviously don't do that much. And I don't think, again, we are talking about a community that probably doesn't do a lot of active shooter training, doesn't mindset it.
Well, yeah, as far as they're concerned, guns are no longer a problem, right?
Yeah, right. They don't have to deal with this. That's an American thing. That's a Western thing. That is,
they got rid of their guns.
Right. And even though, every time it happens, other than someplace in the United States, they always put in, well, it's very rare. Right. No, it's not. It's very rare. People stopping, these guys. And speaking of which, because I want to bring this up.
The guy that went in there and took
the shop owner that shared again.
Yeah.
Pakistani Muslim descent. It should be noted, right? I'm like, he came out and let me just see let me see what that looks like. Okay, good. That's good. That's what I want. Okay, so here I think this is the father that is firing.
Oh! C'est un malade. Oh non, gros! Oh! Ouais, mais il y a son pote, il va se faire tirer dessus. Il est trop con, le mec qui a l'arme. Le mec il est hyper courageux. Oh.
Okay, so that's the son on the bridge with more firearms firing at the Good Samaritan.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets shot.
Yeah, twice. And survived. Okay, so here's the thing. Amazing that this guy stopped it, but
I loved his really fancy gun disarm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of, look, he just went and wrestled it away from me. He didn't really do shit, guys. Yeah, look at that crap. Right? So there's that. Biggest problem with this video, well, with what he did, is what?
I mean, there's lots, but putting the gun down at the tree afterwards and then going after the guy was pretty bad.
Right, that's it. I mean, not shooting the guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is the analogy we like to use. I'm like, if you catch a poisonous snake in your yard and your children are playing, and you catch the snake and then move the snake over and put it out in the next yard, and then the snake comes back and bites your children, is it the snake's fault? Right? So, this guy's, again, even though he did he did the hard part, to be honest, going up unarmed, sneaking up on him, taking the weapon away. So, yeah, there's like Brett writes, there's a law he couldn't. Yeah, he's probably right. I don't know about the law. I just know about, what happens when you're dealing with evil, violent people, is that they just want to, they don't care. They're going to continue to do what they do. He's not going to change his mind. It's not a game. This isn't a game where it's like, I took the weapon away, he's done. Dude, they had like other weapons up there. They had a whole cache.
They had a whole bunch of bombs too.
Right. They weren't done by a far sight. And that guy continued to go back on the bridge and shoot. If he killed him, he would have, one, eliminated the threat, right? Two, it would have had an impact on his son, emotionally, right? I mean, there's going to have some effect, whether it drives, whatever. But now you still have a gun. You can engage this guy and then allow law enforcement to come in and do their job. And yeah, Brett says, yeah, it's, the law says he couldn't. Yeah, dude, excuse me, the hell with Australia. You can freaking keep it. I mean, that's insane. Because Brett just writes out, yeah, he goes, he's been watching it and he heard about the law on there that you couldn't pick up and do that. I'm like, what the hell? So here you have police, ineffective law enforcement, and you have laws that, prohibit you from actually using deadly force to stop mass murder. Yeah. Right. So, and you're what? And you wonder why you're losing? You're losing. This is losing. This is not what winning looks like.
Yeah.
And
then was it the mayor or governor or whatever of that area? He went on and immediately started spinning it. We need more gun laws, blah 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 blah. And then like spinning it against the right. He's like the right wing, this and blah blah blah. And it's like, dude,
right?
Like you're not even addressing the issue.
Right. Your police were ineffective, and the only one who did anything was a citizen. And he couldn't even finish the job. When you're realizing, like, you've got, again, 27 million people, and yeah, congratulations. You just bumped up, the per capita active shooter count. I just, you can, again, with what they're doing with free speech, now you wouldn't even be able to talk about this on social media if you lived in Australia.
We couldn't have this podcast if we lived anywhere outside of America, just about.
Yeah, right. We'd be arrested for sure.
We would offend so many people.
Right. Including myself. Yeah. And Brett's like, it's happening around the world. Yeah, it really is. I'm like, you hear tales from our guys in Germany, it's like people can't, women can't go out at night, and we talk about, you look at, again, not being able to defend yourself and use deadly force to protect others is like, it goes against the laws of God, in my opinion. I don't give a what God you pray to. That is not natural, that you cannot step in and help another. Dude, Brett, they don't have a Second Amendment, dude. They don't have a First Amendment. They don't have free speech. It's all, social monitoring. They've got, public decency laws that they hide, that they put it behind. And then what is public decency? It's whatever this group of people decide it is.
Yeah.
So, you don't listen. Hate speech is free speech, and free speech is allowing people to say crap that I just don't want to hear. That's why, they're getting back to, the Rob Reiner thing. He's like, yeah, dude, you could be vocal, you could be misinformed, but you have the right to say it. Right. And I have the right to disagree with you and to present evidence otherwise. And that's how we go back and forth, and we have discourse. I mean, I'll give the dude credit. When Charlie Kirk got assassinated, he was like devastated.
Yeah.
And he was embarrassed. He's like, this is awful and horrible. Yeah. Cause I think he's generally was a nice guy. Right. I don't think he's an evil dude. Right. Again, different views, no problem. Let's talk about what we agree on, and then we can go about, hashing it out. Now, this, again, they're called Islamists or radical Islam. Let's say it's 10%, let's say it's 5% of their population. The 5% runs the 95%. Always, because they're willing to do shit.
I saw a statistic somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but it was saying that of any given organization, you'll have roughly 10% who's extremist one way or another, right?
Right.
But the problem is when you have 10% of Islam, that's like, almost a
Massive.
billion people.
It's a lot
You're
of
talking
people,
like
man.
talking like 100 million extremists. Yes, it's 10%, 100 million extremists.
Yeah, right. And they're out there. And when you have people from, there's an old video from the dude from, it was Dubai, one of the royal families talking about Europe. And he's like, look, he goes, you can't let these people in. He's like, they want to take over the world. They are not peaceful. And he's like, you got to, enforce your laws. And it's really simple. I go, you come here to uphold the Constitution of the United States, not to secede, not to change the law. You come here to be an American. That's what all of our ancestors did. And that's the difference. So Brett just writes, there are women in England whose daughter was hurt by an illegal immigrant. She posted on social media, yeah, spent 2 years in prison. Yeah, there was something I heard about, something in Germany. I saw videos of a woman in London singing like religious songs, and then the police officer was a woman, came over and asked her to stop singing because they were inflammatory. I mean, it's really, really, really crazy.
Oh, there's a dude in I think it was in Germany recently. He came to the U.S. and was shooting guns and had a picture of it on his social media.
Yes.
He landed, and like a day later, they arrested him because
I
of
saw that
suspicion of firearms. And he was like, I can prove I did it in America. And they're like, we don't care. You post it on your social media. It's inflammatory.
Yeah. And then they wind up letting him go. But his life was already ruined. He was like charged with like a felony, and it took him money to defend himself. And it's crazy, and they do not care. Yeah. And you think that like that was happening with COVID. That was happening. And look, you could talk about Elon Musk all you want, whatever. Literally, saved free speech, and he overpaid for it, and he did it on purpose. So, look. Whatever you think, I don't care. That dude, they're doing that. Yeah, we were very, 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 very lucky. So, yeah. Before
let's move on to the Santas.
Yeah, well, hold on. We got one more. Hold on. So I got this, and then I got a Santa thing, and then we're done. The Santa thing's no big deal. That's just kind of ending the podcast. All right. All right, hold on. Wait, stop playing. Okay. So
you're not sharing.
I know.
Okay.
Okay. So now back onto the Christmas show. So
the jiu-jitsu weapon retention thing.
Yes. So now this is okay. So if you are familiar with the Twilliger rule, that is at 21 feet, a person with a knife can beat a person with a holstered gun. And now you can combat this by stepping back, stepping to the side. But in the world of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, now they pose this drill. Okay. From West Coast to the East Coast, jiu-jitsu isn't for everyone. Isn't just for everyone. It's a necessity. This technique is for when lateral movement is not an option. So lateral movement is you cannot move side to side, just to be clear. Okay. And go.
Canceled it.
Oh, did I? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
See, it's just building suspense. Just building suspense. Here we go. Okay. I won't have it with the volume. And go. Oh boy. Okay. Now, this is what I say is when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So here we are working some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into it. When in reality, you are insane for doing this. When literally all you need to do is step a body's length back or take a step back and draw and fire, period. Why you would go on the ground to give up your mobility and your visibility, why you would go on the ground and get repeatedly stabbed anyway. Because if you have a 9mm, it's going in, depending on the size of it, they're still coming at you. You're going to have to still be able to, you're still going to have to be able to actually fight. And this sitting here, oh, and by the way, I'm leaving out the point that you would literally shoot your damn foot off. Any training I've had, okay, dude. Any training I had that was you are on the your feet are spread wide, man. You are not putting them anywhere near the front of that freaking gun. I'm sorry. You can do that. I am not doing that. You're gonna shoot yourself in the
I mean,
freaking
I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. I'm just saying I don't know if you're necessarily gonna shoot your foot off. That's all I'm saying.
not off, but you know, you're literally putting the weapon in. You're putting a body part in front of the weapon. Which, hey, dude, you get thrown out of fucking selection if you flag yourself or somebody. So don't tell me that fucking bullshit. Damn it.
I mean, have I seen better things? For sure. Yeah. I wouldn't do this. I don't think it's great at all. You know, because here's my thing. If they actually roll and maintain their weapon discipline while they're falling to the ground, absolutely possible, right? You know, elite units train this kind of stuff, right? You know, if you end up getting knocked to the ground or, you know, blowing up and you get flown through the air and
okay,
stuff
say
like
that
that,
again.
right? So
Say
you don't
that
actually
again.
shoot yourself.
Say that again. If you get what? Knocked to the ground.
Yeah, knocked to the ground, or you get blown up in an explosion and you get tossed
Again,
and stuff like that.
Yes, right? If you are on the ground already, and you got, you know, yeah, okay, they're not doing
You
that.
know, like, so but my point is if they're good enough, they could definitely avoid shooting themselves in the foot. However, I doubt anybody in this class is that good.
It's just again the context in which, if they said, hey, if you fall down and the guy's coming at you with a knife, I'd be like, okay, this is for when you don't have any lateral movement, but you have movement backwards. Because
they say you're trapped in a box, right?
Well, you're trapped in a box. You still all right, dude. You know, again,
you can move.
You can martial arts fantasy land of shit that's never gonna happen. And then watch me get trapped in my closet. Watch me get trapped in my closet. You're absolutely right. With my gun.
Look.
Right.
This is for like one of those really skinny, like European alleyways, you know, and you're like, I literally can't move side to side, and this guy's now rushing me with a knife, and you're like, oh wait, I can't walk backwards for some reason.
If you can't walk backwards, you can't do that.
You know,
you can't do. That's my point. If you can't walk backwards, you cannot do this.
This is like that spoof video. I'm sure you saw it, where the jujitsu dude, like some guy breaks into his house, and the guy's like, I've been waiting this my whole life. And then he gets on the ground and he starts scooting towards him.
Yes,
have you seen that one? And then the guy just shoots him.
Right. Exactly. But you're like, so yeah, if you have lateral movement and if you're able to do this, you can take 2 steps back and start emptying rounds into that dude. And yeah, and at least you're not on the ground and having him fall on you, do all kinds of crap. But at least, you know, I mean, this is like, you know, and this is
Wait, hold up. This isn't entirely related, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys back. I think that guy's holding the gun sideways.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So anyway, like, this is like the crap that, you know, oh yeah, that was great. And dude, I've been in these classes and I've done all of this kind of stuff. They're around a longer than I care to even want to admit. And no.
Yeah. So like this person in the front's not as terrible with their weapon manipulation.
No, not at all.
This guy next to him, this guy next to her,
he's shooting himself in the foot
for sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Actually, she actually looks like she's handled a firearm before, to be honest.
100%, 100%,
dude, without a doubt. So, you know, I'm just looking at the fucking now I even haven't looked at the dudes down the road, but yeah. So, Anyway, so yeah, dude, I hate that.
I remember one year, this is like right after I started training close combat video.
Yeah, right.
And my mom one year was like, "Hey, I can get you this like whole Gracie Jiu-Jitsu series, blah 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 blah, yada yada yada." I remember I looked at her and I was like, "I'm not interested." She was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome. Okay. So everyone, thank you for joining us for the Christmas show and to go out.
The last podcast of the year.
The last podcast of the year. We will be back after the first of the year. And for your viewing pleasure, I have Santa's Behaving Poorly. And this will definitely get us dinged off of YouTube because I can't play this song, but fuck it. Sorry.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all.
Buon Natale, Tom. Buon
With those
Natale.
holiday greetings and gay happy meetings when friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all.
Good podcast. Well, thanks, Nuclear War.
There'll be
112.
parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts.
And that's it. And yeah, we'll end on Nuclear War 112. What a stupid podcast. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Thank you very
That's why it's
much.
the most unwashed podcast on the internet.
Internet. You're one of the few. Thank you very much. Yeah, right. They do the Grinch. I want to thank everybody for your comments. Have safe holidays. Have a great new year. We'll see you after the end of the year. You know, check out the links below for all our other stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Subscribe, like if you want. Much appreciated. Again, thank you very much for your time. You can still post your comments below. We'll always respond to them. Till next time, train honestly.